Welcome to the Full Moon Film Buff, episode 76. We're going to talk about Cross of the Seven Jewels from 1987. I had to watch this on YouTube. I had not seen this before. As always, we begin by covering the prominent crew and cast. The film was written and directed by Marco Antonio Andolfi, with effects makeup by Marco Antonio Andolfi, billed as Eddie Andolfi. This is the only feature-length film Andolfi wrote or directed. This movie is his project all the way. By the way, Andolfi edited this movie as well. And now let's move on and talk about the cast. The cast includes Marco Antonio Andolfi as Marco Sartori, also billed as Eddie Andolfi, and Annie Bell as Maria. For 15 years, Annie Bell was a busy actress in European cinema. She appeared in her last film in 1989 and then completed a degree in psychology, moving on to a career in social work, helping people diagnosed with mental illnesses. Now, I'm torn on recommending this film. First, the print up on YouTube is fuzzy and low quality. Apparently, there is a better quality Blu-ray out there, but I wasn't able to get it. But this movie is bad. It's so bad, it made me belly laugh several times. If you love bad movies, check it out. But otherwise, you have been warned. Interestingly, this screenplay was reportedly inspired by a real-life event that happened to Andolfi, not involving a werewolf. While in Naples, carrying a jeweled cross meant as a gift for a woman, Andolfi had the cross snatched right off his neck by two individuals on a motorcycle. Taking this real-life incident as a starting point, Andolfi incorporated fictional elements from his plays, embellishing the story to create this screenplay's narrative. Now let's move on to the synopsis. The movie opens with an S&M party to summon a guy in a bad mask. Marco picks up his estranged cousin, Carmilla, at a train station in Naples. Drug addicts steal a jeweled crucifix right off Marco's chest. He helps the police track the thieves down. While they do have drugs and other stolen goods on them, the thieves have already fenced the cross. It turns out Carmilla wasn't really Carmilla. Her real name is Elena, and Marco was set up. While hunting for Elena, a prostitute named Maria propositions him and offers him drugs. A crime boss demands Marco reveal information on his rich clients. They offer to return his crucifix if he cooperates. Marco is much too law-abiding to do that, so the crooks rough him up. Maria picks him up off of the street and nurses him back to health. She gives Marco the name of the fence where she suspects the thieves got rid of the crucifix. Marco tracks down the fence, growing desperate to regain his cross. He offers the fence a fat roll of cash just for information on where the jewelry might be. The fence does give up the name Don Raphael, but it's too late. The clock hits midnight and a werewolf attacks. It's the same bad mask from the beginning of the movie. It uses its werewolf gaze to melt the fence's face off. Maria finds Marco unconscious on her doorstep in the morning. There is a weird 3-minute montage that I think is supposed to be a nightmare that Marco is having. Maria wakes Marco up with breakfast in bed. She and Marco agreed to start dating. A great foundation for a relationship. Maria knows the name Marco got. He's a big mafia boss. Maria and Marco both hate organized crime. Marco tracks down Don Raphael, apparently unconcerned about his own safety. Maria trails him to keep an eye on him. Don Raphael imprisons Marco. Maria sneaks past several guards into the mafia compound and overhears two mooks talking about the jeweled cross. Don Raphael argues with a senator about Marco while goons beat him up, trying to get him to reveal why he's really there. Meanwhile, the cops investigate the fence's mysterious death. They find wolf hair on the body. The unnamed senator sends a team with truth serum to interrogate Marco. Don Raphael gave the crucifix to some woman in Rome. The mafia keeps Marco for so long that the clock strikes midnight, and we see Marco transform into the werewolf. He kills a lot of mob goons. Maria sees him transform back into a man, and she spirits him away. Marco has another dream of the S&M party where the woman has sex with a much hairier werewolf than he is. Marco finally tells his story. His mother did black magic. Marco is the consequence. She later realized that this was a bad idea. She gave Marco the crucifix to control his lycanthropy. The hairy werewolf used his psychic powers to blow up her heart while it was still in her chest, and left baby Marco alone for some reason. The cops investigate the dead mobsters. Marco and Maria profess eternal love for each other, since they have known each other for about 36 hours. The cops find evidence at the mob compound implicating a governmental finance minister of terrorist-related crimes. That escalated quickly. Marco roams Rome, looking for a fortune teller named Arnesia, whom Don Raphael gave the crucifix to. She works while dressed entirely in lingerie, for no reason I can discern. She's a scam artist. Marco tells her he's there for the crucifix. She's so mad at Don Raphael for taking the present back that she has sex with Marco, the guy Don Raphael sent to get the necklace back. Oh, and Marco just said he loved Maria, but in the middle of the act, he transforms into a werewolf. For some reason, Maria is suddenly actually psychic and sees the whole thing. Arnesia's bodyguard shoots Marcus with a machine pistol, but it does no good. Maria finds the jeweled crucifix just lying in the street, but just before the werewolf finds her. As Marco begins to strangle her, she puts the necklace around his neck, and he returns to human form. And they live happily ever after, I guess. This might be the worst attempt at a transformation scene I have ever seen. First, the dissolve technique was dated 3 decades before this film was made. Second, it's just hair glued to his face until the final jump to the horrible mask. Third, even then, the hair was patchy and uneven. The look is unique and uniquely bad. He's got a bad mask on his head. You can see his jaw underneath it. He has fur on the back of his hands and on the top of his feet, but other than that, he is completely hairless except for the pubic hair, so long and thick that you cannot see his junk. It is ridiculous looking. Made me laugh every time I saw it. This werewolf is the son of some kind of furry demon or devil. While the use of the crucifix might suggest the power of God kept the unwanted transformation at bay, Marco makes no attempt at replacing the titular cross of the 7 jewels with another crucifix. This hints that there was some higher power in the cross, perhaps divine, perhaps magical, I don't know. There's no mention of any other werewolf weaknesses. I found it mildly interesting that the lycanthropic metamorphosis was triggered at midnight, which some traditions call the devil's hour, although I find the term more commonly refers to 3 a.m. This, of course, adds to the idea of the werewolf as a satanic power. So, if you like lycanthropes, like, share, and subscribe. Contribute your thoughts and additional observations in the comments below. Let me know what I missed or what you noticed. Next, I plan on discussing Ulvetid from 1981. Cross your fingers on this one. I don't speak Danish, but I do know a smattering of Swedish. We'll see if that, plus some help from Google Translate, is enough to get me through this foreign film with no English subtitles. Oh, God, nervous. Keep your eye on the moon, a silver bolt in the chamber, and we'll see you back next episode.